Okay, welcome. So we already have 25 folks tuned in. Whatever platform you're using to watch the live stream, hit the chat and let us know where you're joining in from. We usually have quite a diverse crew tuning into these sessions. We are starting in just a minute as we see folks trickle in and have some basic introductions going. Hello. Okay, so we already have, first of all, Hamilton being represented. Oh, wow. Robert joining in from Phoenix. That's amazing. And then quite a few of our Toronto folks. Mississauga, Toronto. I would count as maybe one. I don't know. Hope no one's offended. Wow, quite a few Toronto folks tuning in now. That's amazing. And golf too. Welcome, folks. It's been a while. It's been a while I've gotten to see all of you. So the weather's nice. The lockdown is starting to end, hopefully. So, maybe in a few months we'll be able to do this in person too, especially for folks. I see a lot of folks from Toronto, so that would make it easier to have a quick trip and meet in person. So today is another one of our office hours sessions. So if you've not attended an office hours session before, the whole idea is to talk to leaders at design teams at leading companies and try to demystify how design happens at those organizations from a craft perspective, from an organizational design perspective, from a workflow process perspective. So even though I've come prepared with a couple of my own questions, this is an AMA session too. So feel free to submit your questions using the chat. Again, whatever platform you're using to watch the live stream. So if you can submit your questions, I will, as our conversation evolves with our guests today, I will pull in those questions into the live stream. And so if you have similar questions, don't worry about that. Feel free to type into the chat. It helps me understand how many folks are looking for similar kind of answers. So that would be really helpful. Cool. And also, if you are not a part of our Slack community, you can go to designx.community/Slack and join in the Slack conversations. So we have about the session is supposed to last for about 45 to 50 minutes. So around 1 p.m. EST, we will be ending the office hour sessions. But then Ariana, one of our guests, will be there in the Slack community after the session. If you have any other follow-up questions, if you're looking for her to expand on any of the things that they'll be talking about today during the session. So stick around, and if you're not part of the community, highly recommend joining in. Okay, so we have quite a few folks, almost 60 folks tuned in. So I won't take up a lot of time. Just for folks that have just joined in the last minute, please use chat to continue to submit your questions. There won't be so much of a time at the end. This is more of an organic format, so I'll keep plugging in questions as they come. Awesome. Okay, so let's bring up our two wonderful guests today for the office hour sessions. So we have Marilyn and Ariana joining us from TWG. Hi, folks.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Nice to be here.
Really excited to have you both here with us. Yeah, everyone's looking great, sounding great. So we already passed the first hurdle of the AV being on point. So I gave no introductions, but I think all of us would love to learn a little more about your current, what do you do at TWG, what have you done in your design careers till date, but also maybe a little sneak peek into your personal lives, things you do outside of work, what you would have done if you weren't a designer right now. Any fun facts that also gets us to better know both of you.
Sounds good. Ariana, do you want to start?
Yes, I can kick us off. Okay, so my name is Ariana. I'm a design lead here at TWG at Deloitte Business. So I've been here for 3 years actually at TWG. I started off as a product designer 3 years ago. But that's not where my design journey started. My design journey started back when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And my mom realized that when she gave me a Lego or a notebook with colors, she could forget about me for the entire day. That's where my design journey really started. But honestly, it only happened after I graduated from high school. I was helping my mom with some like furniture design using AutoCAD and workspace design. And I realized that like, oh, there's something here that I like. But in Venezuela, I grew up. That's where I grew up. Like the concept of success is attached to engineering, and that's one of the reasons that it's where I went into school. When I moved to Canada, I went to University of Waterloo to study management engineering. But obviously, as I started seeing some of those courses, a lot of stuff was pretty cool. But I realized I'm like, this is not really my thing. But the good thing about the Waterloo is that it has like co-ops, right? So I actually had a chance to do 6 co-ops, and that was kind of like my experimental phase where I started in like manufacturing, but then every co-op I kind of made my way into like the tech industry, and I did QA, back-end development, front-end development, and then my last co-op was actually just straight up UI UX designer, and I loved it. I'm like, all right, so this is it for me. So right after that, I did the whole Waterloo thing of trying to start my own startup, and failed beautifully, but I learned a lot. And then after that, I did freelance, and I landed into TWG, and I fell in love with that social people first culture and the opportunity to be in a big team of designers. That's honestly like I needed to learn. I needed to understand where I fell in that spectrum, and what better way to go into a team of 20 designers. That was my journey. And when I've been here for 3 years, working on 8 to 10 projects of all different technologies, I've worked with blockchain, big enterprise, consumer products in the insurance business, HR. You've done many, many different things, but now my focus is, and my love child now is essentially operations. So the signups is my favorite thing now. And it's easy to see how like it ties back to my engineering background. Like, oh, operations process, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's me. Oh, Steven, hi. That's a bit about me. Yes.
Hey, Stevie.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
I saw some ex-TWG folks also joining, including myself.
Yes. Yes.
That was one incredible introduction, Ariana. Like back end, front end. You already did AutoCAD. It's like
yes, that was fun.
Wow.
I do miss those days. Do you know how
Sorry?
you posted in the design discussion channel? There was like that like nostalgia question last week around like what program do you miss? I do miss AutoCAD a lot actually.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Marilyn.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. By the way, Ariana, I learned so much about you in that snapshot. So I'm forever learning about you. So. But hello, everyone, including Stevie, who I just saw. Good to see you out there. Hello, I'm Marilyn Whittingham. I'm the Vice President of User Experience and Design here at TWG, a Deloitte Business. And so my journey actually started in traditional design space, marketing and branding, quickly moving into the digital space, exploring companies in both agency, in corporate, and actually on the corporate side specifically, I love the F&I space, which is a passion for me. So I am always engaged in any type of initiatives when it comes to the financial sector. I then moved into the media companies. I was actually one of the proud founding members of Publicist Networks. And then finally, the last 10 years, I moved into product design space. So I'm going to age myself a little bit, but with over 20 years of experience in the UX space, I like to say that I'm able to connect the dots between business challenges and customer-centric solutions across a range of technology platforms. So during my career, I've developed user experience solutions for global and Canadian organizations for what I consider impactful and meaningful outcomes. So like amazing clients like American Express globally, TELUS, Toronto Community Housing, which is they're one of the best clients I've ever worked with, Move the Dial, Kids Help Phone, all what I consider impactful and meaningful clients. A lot of people ask me like, what's your go-to superpower? And I always say design thinking. As a certified practitioner leading design thinking workshops, I believe truly the act of collaboration is critical. Helping clients, stakeholders align, their shared values and ultimately help them develop a digital strategy roadmap. So in my current role, I lead a bright and talented experienced design team, as Ariana says, about 20 within what we call a research design and data-driven environment. And what really moves me is, I always seek out initiatives that are dedicated to participation of the leadership of women in technology. I think that's really important, like companies like Move the Dial. And really it all goes back to my daughter, who is 12, because I really want her to believe that she can do anything she wants to do. So that's a little bit about me.
That's wonderful. Wow. So yeah, really, I hope people have some really good questions, because you two definitely have already had some incredible career journeys. So Marilyn, you already kind of touched on a little bit about design at TWG, team of 20 plus, if I remember correctly. You said, how is the team kind of? What's the composition of the team? Like, is UXR a part of the team, or is that separate? Is it all product designers, or do you have UX designers? Just specific specialized UX folks versus some visual designers or UI designers too. What are the different kind of skill sets on the team?
Yeah, for sure. As I said, it's a great team. We're forever evolving and changing. And every time somebody joins the company, they bring a new skill set to the table, which is exciting. But specifically within the design team, we're considered the experienced design team. And that includes our design leads like Ariana, product designers and researchers. And they range from junior to senior. We're actually bringing on a couple of interns this year, which we're really, obviously, Ariana's very excited about that.
Very.
And so this team is involved in executing on projects from end to end. So that includes our product design strategy, right down to development and execution. And our design leadership team, which includes our design leaders, work really closely together to actually guide the designers on our team. And our design leads actually, in addition to our product designers, help set the direction for the team's vision and mandate. And that, that mandate includes being able to position ourselves as thought leaders in the industry, participating in events like this, being able to share what we've learned, and be engaged in the community. Our team structure fosters an environment of growing our talent. So that's really near and dear to our heart, where, we believe in actually setting our designers up for success, not only within the organization, but within the design community at large. So we really put an emphasis on like fostering our teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities on our team. Like we're always working together, trying to give each other feedback, trying to support each other. Like, whenever there's an opportunity on our projects to bring someone else in, and obviously there's a lot of those opportunities. Our team is usually jumping to help each other. That's part of that like open kind of door policy that we have for a lot of the like how we work with each other and the design team.
Right. Like, are there, and I'm asking because, some folks might know, so I used to be at TWG too. Marilyn missed our overlap. We didn't get to overlap, but yeah, Ariana and I were together.
Yes.
I think I was there for at least a year when you were there, when I was there.
I worked on one of the projects that you worked on defining. And that was one of the easiest projects that I've had because you worked on defining it. Yes.
Thank you for that. But yeah, no. So I remember like the team was, and again, it's a services business. the team needs to evolve as the needs of the market evolve. And I remember when I was there, we were there were a lot of talks of like, oh, is service design something that a skill set that we should be building on the team? And because you started to see some kind of clients or projects come in a form where there was not so much of a tangible kind of a app, like a digital, like Figma file output, or a design file output, but it was more about redesigning the entire process or a service. So in terms of the composition of the team, do we, like now at TWG, a Deloitte business, do you have, like just like a separate kind of a smaller team or a department inside for research specifically, or service design, or more motion design, visual design? Like, are there different skill sets, or is the strategy to build out a more of a generalist team that has some specializations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I said, our makeup of a team is composed of like product designers. And those product designers come to the table with unique specialties and subject matter expertise. So as Ariana says, like as a design lead, she really focuses on the design ops side of the business. We have designers that come to the table that are very focused on what we call design delight. And so each product designer brings that subject matter expertise to the table. And that's where we really hone in to understand where the opportunities are and how we can support their growth path. When it comes to research design, you talked specifically around research. Research is the core of us. Like, we continue to foster research-driven design and discovery and leverage what we call like qualitative data to deliver end user experience and engineering, like that empathy that products that people really love. And so part of that research team does include that aspect of service design. Where we are generalist in the sense, however, we are always mindful that everyone brings a certain subject matter expertise to the table. And as we've said, like, there are no unicorns out there. Not one person can do everything. And we're very mindful of that. And we leverage each other's capabilities.
I used to think that, but then I heard Ariana's introduction. So now I don't trust you when you say unicorns.
No, I am very honest. Like, sometimes I've been in interviews where like folks have beautiful, like they have beautiful portfolios, and I'm pretty honest with my visual skills are not top notch. I can hit the bar, but they're not like the best. I know there's other people in my team that are like stars when it comes to visual design. And that's usually what I say is like, I like this premise of like, I'd rather hone in and become this like exceptional person with my strengths than trying to become this like level head, like kind of average person. So I go to those people who are like experts in my team on visual design to support me in those areas that I know I'm not the expert, but I can leverage their expertise for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I think like you had shared, both of you had shared that, the team is growing now, you're hiring for more roles. Is there, so as you now look for more product designers, are there certain skills that you are focusing on? And skills as in like, like we mentioned that it's of course like a whole pie chart of different skill sets. Is there a specific one that maybe is currently missing on the team, or you're trying to double down on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Are we doubling down on a specific role? Well, we have 4 role descriptions out right now, and we're looking for that variety. Like, again, we are looking for product designers, and product designers bring to the table both the strengths when it comes to UX, UI. We are looking for like-minded individuals that are passionate about design thinking is one area that we're exploring right now as we're building out our vision within the company. We are looking for like-minded individuals that are passionate about building and applying data-driven designs in their process. That is very important to us, looking at, again, qualitative and quantitative mixed methods. So always being able to come to the table to ask those questions like, why? Why are we exploring this path? And so applying data in everything we do is important. We are looking at you know, exploring how might we apply ethical design and inclusive design into our principles.
Yeah.
That's one area that we're exploring. We're always on the quest of individuals that come to the table and reinforcing what human-centered design approach within our process means. Again, going back to design thinking. So if you were to ask me, like, what do we look for when we are exploring product designers? I would say the key ones are being data-driven. Again, having that lens of, always having that research mindset. Ethical design and inclusive design is an area if you're passionate about. And research. As I said, research is the heart of what we do. And we continue to focus on those research-driven discovery methods.
Yeah. If I would add a little bit, and just like to that point, and like my experience doing interviews, is an aspect of, being able to not just, technically justify like your logic, like as you're taking, like as we're seeing, for example, how they develop a product or a project that they're showing to us, we're always looking at like, okay, then what was the data? What was the information that you were basing your decision on to create a wireframe or to create or to select this research measure versus another? It's like, it gives that context and that like confidence in that your process was informed. It wasn't just a bunch of gut feelings, which it does happen. As designers, we do follow gut feelings, and that's the whole point of being intuitive and kind of creative. But then also it's looking back like, okay, this needs to be founded on real data.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like the art and science both kind of go hand in hand for many of the things.
Yes.
Jamie has a wonderful question around the exact thing that we were just talking about. So when we break down the composition, what's like a ratio, of researchers to designers and developers that works well? So you could talk about what it is right now at TWG. Do you feel it's already, it's perfect, or is there one of the levers there that you're trying to increase to bring it to the ideal state?
That's a great question. Jamie, I feel like I know Jamie. So the breakdown ratio for research against product designers is, imbalanced, I would say right now. We are looking to build our research team and researchers. When we look at our methodology, our commitment is to be able to bring research insights into every single project that we do.
Right.
And so right now we have a team of, as I said, approximately 20 plus. And I would say that 3 of those members are like researchers. And then the rest are product designers, and they range from UX to UI,
Right.
to strategists to leads. So I would say right now, I'll be honest, it's not balanced enough, and our focus is to bring in more researchers. So if there are
Yes.
any researchers out there that want to join a fabulous team that is doing meaningful projects, then please reach out to us. We would love to have like-minded individuals like you join.
And I mean, just to add a bit more to that, like the way that we work in projects usually ends up being that we have like kind of 1 or 2 members from each of our kind of core competencies, which is product engineering and design. And design involves design and research as well, right? So essentially, we where we're solving a project, we have like a product manager, we have a tech lead, and a couple developers, let's say, depending on the size of the project. But we'll also have a designer or 2 and a researcher. So that's usually kind of like the makeup of our project teams. And again, researchers are key parts of our process as like throughout the entire discovery part. We're working with researchers. We're constantly collaborating on not only research strategy, but they're also part of our design strategy, because they also carry that kind of like really in-depth expertise and empathy for the user. So we want to keep them along. But as Marilyn mentioned, like there's a bit of that imbalance where like we wish we had more in our team so that we could keep them longer in our projects. We right now are like fighting for our researchers. We love them. They're like so crucial and make our lives so much easier. So again, if you are a researcher or know someone, please send their way.
So everyone that's tuned in, if you or your friends are researchers, you have 2 wonderful colleagues waiting for you to join the team. Marilyn, like you shared in your introduction, you've led teams at a lot of other service-based businesses as well. You set up like Publicis. I forgot the full name.
Publicist Networks. Yeah,
Publicis
it's
Networks
evolved since then.
in
But yeah.
in Canada, right? I think that's what you had shared. So, just beyond even your current team at TWG, Deloitte Business, but other agencies and studios that you've led teams at as well. Do you feel that? Do you feel selling research to the clients is a little bit of a tough task? Because of course, like design and development seem like very tangible things that clients know, even on the design part. And that's I'm just speaking based on my past experiences, whether at an agency or even like consulting projects, that especially when you're with smaller clients, there is a hunch that, oh, we don't need research. We know exactly what we're building. So why should I pay 0.5x more or how much ever for getting a researcher on board? And the reason I'm asking is that also a factor that then leads to a little bit of this imbalance in the services world?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're throwing some good questions at me, Preet. Expected. I would say that's probably one of two challenges that we continue to face, not only at TWG, but as a design community. Continue to have to be the voice for providing the value of design to our customers. And the value of design includes research. So the ability to justify and rationalize cost and effort and resource will continue as designers evolve. And this is why I believe driving to become a data-driven design company, which includes qualitative and quantitative insights, is going to help us justify the importance, the rationalization of the quality. Our approach to apply like research and data to be able to marry qualitative insights with research, user research, with quantitative data sets really helps us understand every point in the customer journey. So we're able to ask the questions to the client, why? And our goal really at the end is to help our clients, walk away feeling like they've learned more about design. So yes, absolutely. Research is usually a challenge, just like justifying design sometimes. But if we have strong data, if we have a strong like case studies and proof points, then it is an easy sell. Yes, clients come to us and say, yep, we already have the research, right? And that's fair too. But we in a very polite way, we like to challenge those assumptions and allow ourselves space to be able to look at the research that they provide so that we can help close the gaps. And in the end, it's a better outcome for both parties. So if we have willing participants and clients, then those are the best clients we want to work with.
The only thing I would add to that is, as like Marilyn mentioned, around like having this like case study narrative that we already have ready. So like when people are like, oh, well, we don't know about that. It's like, okay, hear me out. This is time that this project did not apply research. This is time this project applied research. And these are the outcomes of each. And this had a much successful kind of runway with their products, with the users, because they knew them better. So it's kind of like presenting, oh, well, this is so timely. I hope this is
no worries.
Perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
But the other piece I would say is like our team members, like our product managers specifically, have also kind of developed that understanding of the value of research as well. So for example, when especially when a project's already sold and we realize, okay, we have a bigger need for research now, our product, like we all act as like a united front because everyone understands that value of research, and it's easy to start that conversation and understand that like, okay, 4 people are telling me that this is valuable, that this is meaningful, it's worth investing in. So that's kind of like something that at TWG we see more and more happening, like everyone being more versed with that narrative.
That's amazing. That's and I think both of you touched on such really good points around how to prevent that. That often you'll see clients have that instinct to just kind of get into building mode because they're just excited about what comes after that, and timelines and pushing budgets and all those things. But seems like you know how to handle those conversations really well. So that's amazing. We had a question from Nauka specifically around researchers, and so it's the question is, I think, geared more towards researchers that are trying to enter the field. So she's asking about, what are some of the skills that a junior researcher needs to develop to be kind of more, appealing to an agency like a studio like TWG, a Deloitte Business. What are some of those skills that companies really look for, especially when they're coming from a different background?
I can try to answer that one. Based on my experience, and I did participate in the hiring for some of our researchers as well, something that we really look for is that ability to articulate your thinking, first of all. Like, I think as being part of an agency, you really need to be able to express your ideas in a clear manner and express the why, the impact of what you're trying to suggest. In terms of researcher, is one of the things that we really look for is that aspect of curiosity, of questioning things, of like asking whys. It's like that, like trying to get to the root of things. And so, for example, when I've been in interviews with researchers, I've seen like they come with a really prepared plan, but sometimes I wish they had, like, sometimes I have the question, but why do you do that? But why do you choose that method? But why do you do that? And I wish that they had shown me that they had that own curiosity on themselves. So I feel like that curiosity and that like driving, digging, and having that ability to dig and explain yourself clearly, those things are like go hand in hand for like a researcher to really like excel in the field.
It's great. I love that. Nothing else to add, Ariana. And we have a couple of job descriptions posted for researchers, so please check them out. And I'm sure there's a match there.
Yeah, I think Ariana had such. I think specifically to Nauka, because she's asking from someone entering the field or is still in the early stages. I think the words part or the facilitation part is so important. So not just knowing the craft or how they often say like actions matter and the words don't, but it's like in services business sometimes the words and how you facilitate the whole conversations and the project is so much more important. Okay, thank you so much. I know we spent a lot of time on demystifying the composition of the teams and the skills you look for. So going into a little more of a tactical question, what are some of the design tools, research tools that you use at TWG? Any favorite ones? Any ones that you've tried and really disliked and would recommend no one else to ever use? Maybe save them time. Yeah.
I'm going to leave this to Ariana. She knows for sure.
I can tell people I'm the tool geek. I love them. I can waste so much time trying to like understand a tool, like getting all the shortcuts down and all the like little nooks and crannies. I love that. And also have the team thinks I get commissions for every tool that I tell them to use because I'm just so excited about them. But I would say that our key tools that everyone loves in our team is like not no-brainers are Miro and Figma. Our researchers love Miro. It's just so easy to get started. Just like it's like a no friction kind of environment to get things started. It's also really easy to pick up. So we've had a lot of success bringing our clients and other stakeholders and collaborators that might feel like a little intimidated by design tools to actually start working with us. And like we love that collaboration piece, like not only within our teams, but with our clients, bringing them in as much as we can throughout the process to be aligned. And then Figma is just so nice. I love it. I'm a fan of like a good, effective tool, and honestly, having that real time collaboration is also forced. So don't get me wrong, like it forces us to see that we need better systems to collaborate in the same tool. Like sometimes we will keep our files not so clean. We will have like a bunch of messy stuff, and that's hidden behind the curtain. But when you brought two people into the same file in Figma, we're like, oh, we need a process, we need a framework. So that's kind of like forcing us to become way more organized in our craft as well. But those are, I would say, that the core tools for that we always use.
Yeah, you will get judged on how well your layers are grouped and named or not named when someone else. I'm really bad at those things, but I definitely also judge when someone else. I'm like, oh, this person's equally messy behind all the beautiful.
I'm always pushing for symbols and components. Honestly, like I try not to judge, but at the same time, I'm like, but could you just use this and make your life easier? But yeah, no, we're getting much better over time. Still a learning process. We're still getting comfortable with it, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
That's amazing. Marilyn, more on the processes, workflows part. What is your favorite design team ritual that you have on the team, and are there any new ones since you joined that you brought to the team, or you kind of helped kickstart?
Yeah, that's a great question. As I mentioned, I think my go-to tool is design thinking. I believe, as I said, the design thinking is the way to be able to help clients and stakeholders align and develop that shared understanding for getting to that digital roadmap or strategy. So design thinking is, I think, part of our core and something that we're exploring more and more in our service offerings, and even as specific projects that we're working on with certain clients. I find that excellent design thinking courses like Human Factors International and Nielsen Norman and Luma are great tools to have. And Ariana mentioned like Mural and Miro. Those types of design thinking templates are built actually into some of those tools. So I would say design thinking is one of the probably most critical tools that we continue to explore and build into our process.
There's one more thing I would say, having been in the before and after Marilyn kind of situation. I think one of the mindset as a tool, let's call it that she brought to our team is that ability to measure and think long term. That's one of the things that I've definitely seen change in our team around okay, everything we do, how can we sustain it? How can this be impactful for real to the business? It's not just doing things for the sake of doing them. It's let's be intentional here. And that's something that it's definitely stayed since Marilyn joined. It's kind of created a bit of that strong foundation. And this is the honest truth. I love operations and predictability. So that's one of my favorite changes over the past year since Marilyn joined, is that foundation. We kind of feel more confident that we're doing things in an intentional way, in a way that it would last.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I think for us too, it's about being able to learn from each other. It's not just the team learning from me. We like to foster an environment where we can share and learn from each other. We allow for platforms and spaces for team members to bring back to the table what they learned at conferences and design events. We learn from each other. We also bring in subject matter experts based on collective areas of interest. So as I said, one of our goals is to, really foster an environment where we're building, great designers, where we're learning from each other and elevating their careers. So that's really what it's about. Again, I appreciate, me bringing things to the table, but it's truly a collaborative effort. And this team is so exceptional where they're just learning from each other. And I just empower that. I just remove roadblockers for them to do really amazing things.
Yeah, that seems like the the perfect way to kind of approach leadership, where they definitely feel that it's kind of the team's just pushing themselves up, but it's the leader is a big force behind that. Ariana mentioned a really neat thing around the measurement part, of design. So, and I just from our Design X Slack conversations, I've seen so many leaders, senior folks trying to figure this out at their specific companies. So, Marilyn, are there any frameworks, resources, books, if there is someone that's also in a senior leadership capacity at another organization trying to kickstart this culture of measuring the impact of design, how design happens from project to project basis, where should they go? Should they just come and, everyone starts to DM you, or should we redirect them to some resources or frameworks or books they should read?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think everyone is starting at a certain maturity level, I will say. Some individuals are starting from the very beginning in terms of being able to build in research or data. And if you're at the very beginning, then it's about as we said, leveraging our researchers coming in with those qualitative insights. I believe our maturity level is increasing. And so we're at a position where we can build in what we're calling a data-driven approach within our organization. And so what that means is building on our existing service offerings. So being able to build in data visualization, data-driven solutions within our experience. And so that's exciting for us, right? Like we're on a little bit of a different path. Other organizations I've seen as references that they're building in customer satisfaction experience tools. There's this great tool out there called Disabel, where we're able to start integrating qualitative insights into user research. So being able to incorporate quantitative data sets to actually help, again, understand that every point in the customer journey and providing the most advanced data available to understand, again, the why. But where it all starts from, and I'm seeing the growth in the industry, is the current qualitative research data methods. So we talked about that. We talked about surveys. We talked about usability testing. So continuing to foster on research-driven discovery and leveraging qualitative data directly with the end user is the absolute starting point. In terms of book references, I'm going to have to probably provide that. I feel like one book, and I'm going to actually get it just for the team.
That's amazing. I think, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ariana.
No, say what she gets the book. I would say that we drew a lot of inspiration about design maturity, and like when we started like formalizing our design ops part to start like how can we measure things, how can we how do we know our current state, and how do we really know how far the future state is for us. And we leverage a lot of the talks by Jared Spool around design maturity and the industry maturity, and those actually came from the Design X conferences from the last couple of years. Little plug over there that I've attended, and it really resonated with us, this idea of like structuring ourselves around this framework that allows us to see where we're at today and where we want to go in the future.
And then the two books, if you're looking for books, this is like real time. I recently completed my master's in analytics, and this book is one of the best reference books that I got from my program. It's called Design Works. And it talks about, again, incorporating design thinking, research, and data and insights. Beautiful book. And if you want another book, as we talked and started exploring where does design ethics or inclusive design fall into our methodology and bringing a human-centered approach, is this book, Building for Everyone. I highly recommend it. Her name is Anna Jean-Boutis. And it talks exactly about how do we build in those code of conducts and inclusive design principles. So you put me on the spot a little bit, Preet, but I had them only because I'm still trying to get through them.
Thank you so much, though, for going and getting the books and sharing the recommendations. I think we definitely need like a whole talk or a session on this topic, because so many folks are trying to figure this out.
Yes.
And I think it's you definitely seem to have a lot of knowledge, not just on the theory part, but also on the actual execution layer. So I know we have about 5-7 minutes or 10 minutes max left. And here comes Leo with a question that I'm sure many people have been thinking about. So I know I don't remember the exact timeline, like a few minutes ago, everyone, at least in the Toronto ecosystem here, got the news. So that TWG is now part of TWG, a Deloitte business. And I keep kind of interchanging the two, the labels. So congratulations on that. That's definitely a great kind of evolution, for the studio. And having been on the inside for quite some time, it was always like, you knew that the studio was always not working like just another digital shop, but the goals and the aspirations were always so much bigger. So and joining someone like an entity like Deloitte just sounds incredible. So yeah, Leo is curious, and I'm sure other folks are curious too. So how does that change we were talking about tools, rituals, workflows. Has that changed your day to day? And I imagine that would be different for both of you. Like,
Yeah.
how much are you both kind of interfacing with the Deloitte entity right now, or the larger team there? And then does that change the day to day work you're doing, the projects you're working on? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure it's top of mind for a lot of individuals. I can start, Ariana, and then you can jump in. Yeah, it's a question that we're asked often, and yes, we became Deloitte, TWG, a Deloitte company, March 1st. Currently, we are TWG, a Deloitte business, so we operate within what we call our Deloitte digital family, and we're currently building that relationship and friendships quickly as we learn about each other. Our TWG culture lives on. I know a lot of people talk about, like, how does the culture change? It lives on with this new acquisition, and we continuously look for ways to collaborate and look for opportunities to build and share our TWG culture that everyone loves and we love. What has changed, to be quite honest and transparent, what has changed is we've added new operating systems to our process. So, such as how we onboard our new team members. As you join a larger organization, that means their systems. So it's a combination of, the Deloitte family systems and TWG systems. So, how we operate, we're actually excited that we found another design community within Deloitte Digital who are like-minded humans and that are passionate about design. We talk about service design with them. We talk about design systems. We talk about design thinking. So they get us. Like, this is a newfound, I think, friends that we can relate with. So we're actually thrilled about the opportunities that we can explore through this acquisition and what it has to offer. Ariana, anything?
Yes. I this question has been asked during our interviews as well, and so I'm not surprised at all that it's coming up here. But no, I think to Marilyn's point, like, there's a reality. I think there's a positive side that we're seeing more stability, that like pipeline of constant, really interesting projects, sometimes even things that we never thought we would be tackling. So that's like super exciting. There's perks. There's interesting perks that we're like, oh, okay, now we get all this stuff. But at the same time, as Marilyn say, we inherited systems, and corporate systems cannot be necessarily the most effective or the most efficient. But right now we're in that learning process. We're still like the same way that Marilyn's mentioning, we're still kind of like learning from this new group of cousins, let's call them, in our family, from the digital team. We're trying to understand what their strengths are, what their processes are. Like, we're still carrying out our process in our ways, and we're still working within our TWG teams, but we're having more identifying opportunities of like, how can we collaborate? Like, sometimes we identify, for example, on their side, they have folks who are really, really good at that, like micro interactions, animations piece. Like, how can we leverage this to bring them in, making even more meaningful or like higher quality work? So like, we're kind of in that learning phase where like awkwardly introducing ourselves, but also like getting to know each other, like trying to spend time together, understand what are like the strengths of each of us, so we can empower, like we can kind of like enhance both of our operations at the same time. But as Marilyn said, honestly, the thing that we're the most protective about it, that's something I've seen from like a designing perspective, is that culture piece. So we're like, we've all kind of like gone through this change that it was a big change for all of us, and it's sort of like, anytime that we find challenges, we kind of like all come together. It's like, how can we go over it? How can we potentially change this for the future or for new members? And that's, for example, as Marilyn mentioned, the onboarding piece was something that we went through it, and it was a great opportunity for us to be user testers of their onboarding system, but also a great opportunity for us to bring influence into that process as well. So like, we realized some systems could be more inclusive, and they listened and they acted quickly for that. So again, it's that exploration stage, but also like finding opportunities. That's kind of like the lens through how we're seeing things.
Yeah, one question I did see in the chat when we were talking about structure and like the makeup of our team, and somebody mentioned content, and I missed that. Somebody asked
Yes.
about where content fit in. One of the advantages that we've learned through working with our Deloitte family is we, on the TWG side, didn't have that strength or that muscle when it comes to content strategy. And now we're able to partner with our Deloitte family friends to be able to leverage that capability. And so we're being, as Ariana says, being able to find like, how can we leverage each other? So as I said, there's lots of opportunity and growth there.
Yeah. So I think both of you put it so well. It's like, yeah, no one likes change. Of course, when things are going well, TWG has always been doing great, some incredible clients. So no one likes change, but then it's always, once you settle in, you start to peel the layers, and you start to see what the long-term advantages. And I think with the content designers you mentioned, like even like short-term, onboarding, that's one I can definitely relate with, because I think the first time I joined TWG 4 years ago, there was, or 5 years ago, there's not much of an onboarding. I remember the next day I was taken to a client meeting, and I was like, oh, I'm at a client meeting. I was already so excited because it was like a client that was part of the Facebook, a Chan Zuckerberg family. So I was like, oh, this is a cool client.
We still have that project, by the way.
Yes.
It still lives
That's
on.
amazing. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna just sit and learn. And so the meeting starts, and then they're like, oh, so let's just do like a lean canvas brainstorming session. It's like they're like, so Preet, you want to run it? And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, day 2, I'm doing this with the client sitting there. Like that time, of course, I was like, oh shit. But then later on, I felt so, you felt so good. I was like, oh, I just came out of client meeting on day 2 and running the workshop.
So we've matured a little bit since then.
Yes.
Yes.
And on that note, we do. Part of our vision is to build our design ops model, which is what Ariana is leading. So those tools, that process, that onboarding is led by Ariana with a group of our team members internally. So you'll be, when you come back to us, Preet, you'll be set up for success.
Yes. You'll see, oh my God, I love this process. And we're like, yeah, we matured.
Absolutely. Those are indeed, some of the intangible perks, right, that come with kind of evolving the company. So we are almost at the end. We learned a lot about, big thanks to both of you. So we learned a lot about how design happens at TWG, how from the people part to the tooling part to the workflows part, to even how that has evolved since TWG joining, the Deloitte group of companies, or becoming a Deloitte business. So now I know, Marilyn, at the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned that a big focus for you is right now to grow the team. And you mentioned hiring for product designers as well as researchers. So we'll definitely, after the chat, we did share the links last week too, but we'll again share it in our Slack community, the job links. But if you can give a little bit of like, where do folks go to kind of learn more if they are curious about specific roles or have any other specific questions? And what are some of the timelines for these roles?
Oh, those are great questions. Yeah, so definitely we have it posted on our website. We have it posted in our link channel. We have a dedicated recruitment team, which we'll be happy to provide in our Slack channel. Again, we are building our team. We're building against that vision that we talked about. That includes onboarding like-minded friends to product designers. As I said, research is a big focus for us. So we're looking for our researchers and also looking for a design lead to help with our vision. So go to those channels. They're all posted there. And also, the rest of the company continues to grow at the same pace. So we're also looking at roles in product and development. So product and development friends, also check out our career posts, and please feel free to reach out to me directly. And on Slack. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm always looking for design friends in the community.
That's amazing. And Ariana, I think you will be sticking around in the Slack channel after the session. So if folks have any other questions, I know there were a few questions that we weren't able to get to around, how you can grow as a designer within the team. What are some of those opportunities? What does that look like? And I think, it would be amazing to hear it from Ariana because she's currently going through all those different motions. I
already love being in the Slack Design Slack chat workspace. I'm all there in the discussions, listening to everyone. It's like, all these experiences. So I will be there. If you have any additional questions, any questions that we didn't get to on this during this AMA, I'd love to provide more clarity, answers, transparency, anything we can give you to answer those questions.
Thank you for being my partner, Ariana, on this.
Yeah.
Really, I really do. Thank you, Preet, for having us.
Thank you.
Lots of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you to both of you for also answering the questions, super candidly, kind of sharing it all. So again, even on that acquisition thing, even I was like, I don't know if we'll get really candid answers, but you both were incredible. So definitely I can see the culture part has not changed much, so that's really cool. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the Slack community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, that was a wonderful session. I know we had a couple of more questions, but I personally really enjoyed diving deep into how the design team is structured, because TWG, again, for those of you who are in the Toronto ecosystem, the design discipline, the quality of work that the studio puts out, it's well known across the industry. So kind of dissecting that and understanding how they get to putting out such great work was really interesting for me, and hopefully for you too. So we will be in the Slack community. Also, big shout out to TWG for being our sponsor for these 3 months, for helping us through all our different initiatives that we continue to put out. We'll also be doing more topic or theme focused sessions with the design team at TWG in the coming 2 months. So you'll see the updates in the announcements channel. Again, as always, if you have, it always feels so short when the session starts. Before that, I'm always ambitious that we'll have 15 questions to go through, and then the time flies off. So if you have any recommendations, if you had any questions for me that you weren't able to ask, please feel free to DM me. And then Ariana will be sticking around in the Slack community. Marilyn is also there in the Slack workspace in general. So if you have questions for them around the team, any of the topics that we covered today, feel free to ask in the post that I'll be posting shortly. And then I will see you on our Slack community. So designx.community/Slack if you are not already a part of it. And we will be back with our next event hopefully soon. So thank you so much to everyone that tuned in for our office hours sessions today. Thank you. Bye.